In this lesson I'm going to show you how to create flashing text or flashing objects so that it appears in the animation like blinking, basically. And so let's create a new flash file, ActionScript 3.0. And what I'm going to do is, up in this top right corner of our stage, I'm going to make our battery. And I'm going to choose the rectangle primitive tool, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to create a rectangle that looks like it's maybe the size of a battery, like so. But my fill was not what I wanted. So for now, I'm just going to make it gray. But the reason I chose the primitive tool is so that now when I grab my selection tool, I can move my corners in, like so. Not unlike a real battery. Now what I'm going to do is create a smaller version of that right here. So I'm going to go back, grab the primitive rectangle tool, and I'm going to create our little end. Oops. I'll move it around in a second. Maybe make it so big. And now I'll grab my selection tool, move it here. I'm going to make it a little more square than the battery itself. And now this is a classic example where we're going to probably want to turn our snap to off. So snapping. Let's see if this was enough. Like so. That appears to look pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is right click, free transform it, make it slightly smaller, and now go back to my selection tool, move it about to there. There, that kind of looks like a primitive battery, but now we're going to create a gradient for it. So I'm going to select that and go to my color palette over here, pick the radial gradient, or the type is radial, and now I'm going to change the colors here to, by double clicking, to a gray, a white, maybe a lighter gray, and I don't know if I even need that fourth one, but I'll leave it there for now. And I'm going to change it to a linear gradient, like so. And I think I'm going to make one more black one and move it to the end here, like so. And perhaps move this over a little. And now I'm going to use our gradient transform to flip this gradient around this way, like so. And now I might move it around a little to see what might look best for it, to where it looks like a battery, like so. And now I'm going to click on the other part of our battery here, and we'll put the same linear gradient on it. but I'm going to flip it by picking the gradient transform tool again. And now we have what looks like possibly a primitive looking battery with a shine and a curve to it. And I might even add a small outline to it, but not that big, obviously. Something very hairline, like so. And perhaps the same for this piece. Yeah, that looks a little more realistic. Now what I'm going to do is insert another layer. We'll call this the battery layer. Now I'm going to just insert layer through that. And now I'm going to say blinking text. Now what we're going to do is grab our brush tool, make sure we're on that layer that's over top the battery, and we're going to pick I'm going to pick a red, and no outline for it. Actually, in this case, the line tool will probably work better than the brush tool. I'm going to turn snapping back on, just in case it proves to be to my advantage. I'm going to start in the top right corner here, and I'm going to pull it over like so. But my color was not correct, so I'm going to undo, try again. In this case, there is no fill, so we have to make sure that it's the pen or the stroke color, because that's all we're doing as a stroke, is the color we intended, like so. But that is not large enough, so I'm going to select it, and I'm going to enlarge it until it looks about right. That looks pretty good. Move it around a little bit until it looks right. Now what I'm going to do is right-click, copy, and then right-click again, paste. And now I'm going to free transform this until it looks about right. Because what I'm going to try to do is put an X, remember, over the battery, like so. There, that looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to grab the text tool, make sure I still have red selected, and pick the font I want. That's kind of a thick one, so I think it might look good. And I'm still going to choose red. And I'm going to type low battery, like so. Then I'm going to grab it and move it until it looks about right. add one more space in there. And now what we're going to do is now we have to put our keyframes in to determine how long we want the clip to animate for. So let's go to our battery layer and let's insert a keyframe at 25. I'm just picking something. And now obviously the battery isn't going to be moving, but it'll last or play for that long, 2 seconds. Now, as far as the blinking of low battery and the X, the first thing we need to do is convert low battery, the text, and these two lines all in to one symbol. So I'm going to hold down Shift, click each side of the X, and then the low battery. And now I'm going to modify, convert to symbol, or F8, and we'll convert it to a movie clip, and I'll call it low bat, like so. Now put a box around all of it so that we know that that's a symbol. Now I'm going to put a keyframe at the end, and now we see that on each frame it's all the same. Now in order to create our flashing, what we're going to do is every fifth frame I'm going to clear it. So there's nothing. Clear frame. Clear frame. Clear frame. And now let's see how that looks. Perhaps we'll clear the frame one more time here. So now let's go to Control, Test Movie, and it doesn't appear to be flashing. It might be too quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete. I'm going to Control Z, go back, keep hitting Control Z, and I'm going to do it a little less often. So every 10 frames, I'm thinking. So let me delete our first one. So I'll add it in on 10. Clear frame. Add it in on 20. Whoops, what did I do? Clear frames. And I'm going to also insert a keyframe there. Insert a keyframe there just to 10, 20, and then 30. We'll clear this frame. Alright, now let's test it again. Alright, so now we see low battery flickering. So that looks pretty good. So you can spread out where you want to clear the frames to make it blink at the rate that you want. So there's a quick lesson on creating blinking symbols. In this case, we created a battery and our low battery strength indicator that you would normally see maybe on a phone or something.